What's up, everybody? It is a Blue Drake, and today I wanted to make another video diving further into the world of Battlefield 1 history. Now, one of the biggest things in Battlefield 1 that is causing a lot of controversy is the Acog sites that are going to be in the DLC pack being released post-launch. A lot of people have been putting out videos saying that, oh, you know, the Acog was not in World War I. Oh, this is fake. But today, I actually wanted to talk about the history of the Acog site in World War I, just to show everyone that these did exist. They did exist in World War I, and they were actively used. So it would make sense for them to be in Battlefield 1. So the first big misconception is everyone is trying to convince people that the pronunciation is Acog, which is not true. As you know, this site was invented in France. It was originally invented in France, and it was also used by the British because obviously they were fighting as allies. But the proper pronunciation is Acog, just kind of like, you know, Paris. Americans pronounce Paris as Paris, which is kind of butchering the word, but the French pronounce it as Paris. So you can say Acog, but it's not actually pronounced Acog. The original pronunciation is Acog. And, you know, I'm not making this up. If you type in pronounce Acog, you can just go to how to pronounce Acog, and you'll see down here. Like, this is a real site. I'm not making this stuff up. You can play the English USA pronunciation.
Acog.
Yeah, which is, you know, Acog. And then you have the proper pronunciation.
Acog.
Acog. You know, which is the French pronunciation, which is its point of origin. So the proper pronunciation is Acog. And to take this evidence even further, we have newspapers that have been preserved and are now scanned, and you can see them in the Google library, which is a really cool project. You know, they store all the books in like the universe in this one database. It's really, really awesome. You should check it out. But this newspaper shows one of the first advertisements of the Acog site. And of course, Acog stands for Armstrong and Cuthbertson, which was actually, an Armstrong was a British distributor, and Cuthbertson was actually a French engineer. So while it was invented in France, it had a lot of distribution in Great Britain and stuff like that. And you can see at the bottom it says, by special appointment to His Majesty King George. And that's actually something to really take into consideration. These scopes were not widely available. They were just being prototyped. They were not in mass production. They were very hard to get the resources to create. You know, the things that you have to actually get, like the fine glass optics, were very hard to make back then. So they could not make it for every single soldier, but they could give it to more like special operation units and stuff like that. So the next thing that people try to say in order to disprove all of this, you know, with their like tinfoil hats and everything, is, oh, Blue Drake, you know, if the Acog sites were actually being used, why aren't there any pictures of people using them? Well, there's a couple reasons for this. So first off, they were used by special operation units, so you're not going to take pictures of those guys. Secondly, they weren't in mass production, so there weren't that many people using them. And thirdly, they're actually are pictures of people using them. That's the kicker here. So, for example, here is a photo of a machine gunner team, and look at that machine gun. That machine gun is mounting an Acog site. And here again, here is a small entrenched infantry squad, and when you look at the bottom left-hand corner, there is a marksman with a prototype Acog site. And finally, this is a really rare photograph, but this photograph actually is of a Special Forces squad in World War I. As you can see, there's two infantrymen with Acog sights, and they are being escorted by one of the prototype World War I tanks, a tank that you might recognize because it was also used in World War II. And if you look up in the sky, you can see one of the Special Forces aircraft. That is the A9 aircraft. It was a bomber. It had a huge cannon mounted to the central fuselage, and it was propelled by a propeller. But that was later changed, decades later, that was changed to a jet engine, and instead of a biplane, it became a single wing, sorry. And now it's known as, can you guess it? The A10. Yes. So that's something we might be able to do an entire video on. I mean, you look at that, it's not a well-known aircraft. It's the A9, the biplane A9 ground attack aircraft. And that is the predecessor to the A10. Now, for the soldiers that had their hands on this site who weren't part of special operations, normally these soldiers were part of kind of like the testing process, because Armstrong and Cuthbertson would make a couple of prototype versions and send them out to just a select few soldiers in the field, and these soldiers weren't going on, really sensitive missions, and they also weren't going on very dangerous missions, just enough to test the site, but not die and not be able to come back and give their feedback. And that's where these pictures come from. There's not many of them, but they are out there, and they show clearly that the Acog site was being used by British and French forces during World War I. So that's it for today. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this, make sure you like and you subscribe and you favorite. And then if it's possible, you could maybe like favorite your subscribe. I don't really know if that's a thing, but if it is, do it. You could also add me as like, a recommended channel on your channel. Or, you could also, I have a thing on my site where I take credit card now. So if you want to send me money via credit card, you can do that. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure you tell me down in the comments. I know there was a couple things that I've been hearing rumors of. For instance, the horses are now coming out, and there's some really interesting features about the horses that I've been hearing that I really want to go over. So if you guys want to hear that, make sure you let me know in the comments below. And outside of that, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Love you. Bye.